Brian Cox makes an unlikely film directorial debut at the age of 79 in the comedy drama Glenrothan. After a Chicago club burns down, Alan Cumming is convinced to accompany his daughter Alexandra Shipp on her trip to Scotland and his native Glenrothan to visit his brother Brian Cox, who he hasn't seen in 40 years. Cox has been looking after the family distillery, but with his health issues, its fate will depend on if the brothers can heal old wounds. This is the second alcohol-based family dramedy to come out in a matter of weeks after Mother's Pride, and it is a better film than that, but not as much as you would think. Usually a film held by an actor is a bit of a passion project, but Cox has made no secret about the fact that the decision to direct was one sprung upon him by the film's producer, and that does show in how flat the final product is. Luckily, when you have actors like Cox, Cumming, and Shirley Henderson, the film is never less than watchable, but the American casting of Shipp and her daughter feel badly out of place in this very Scottish film and make it feel even more like a Hallmark movie. Despite Cumming's inherent likability, he struggles to save a poorly written main character who comes across as less conflicted and more like a selfish coward who spends much of the film sulking around and avoiding his brother and family as he tries to sell the distillery behind their back. It becomes clear that he had a very tough relationship with his overbearing father, and that's why he left, but the movie makes the fatal mistake of only using brief flashbacks and telling too much through dialogue, especially about how close he was to his mother, who is barely seen at all. As a result, it becomes very hard to connect with him, especially since Cox is perfectly welcoming and accommodating, and the only one who was actually holding on to grudges from 4 decades ago is Cumming. Given how forthright and critical Cox can be off-screen, you might be surprised to hear that Glenrothan is an exceptionally mild and gentle film, where if it weren't for the occasional F-word, it would barely trouble a PG rating, but it desperately needs some bitter notes to offset the saccharine. It's a very predictable film from start to finish, as you can see every plot point coming from miles away. I wonder why Cumming keeps wincing every time someone brings up the club's insurance. And as a result, the film is dramatically anemic, with little real conflict, and you know who will end up with the distillery long before they figure it out. An additional editing credit and some very conspicuous ADR suggest they were well aware of these problems, but it's still mostly a film of people looking wistfully at photogenic places as they drink a lot of the family whiskey. Shirley Henderson as Cumming's ex, who stayed behind and became a master distiller, gives the film a few moments of life, but I don't think anyone realised the film's message that home and your family is where the heart is seems to punish Cumming for escaping an abusive upbringing, like a perversely distorted It's a Wonderful Life where everyone blames him for not leaving themselves. It's a pleasant and undemanding watch, if a little bit dull, and it's basically the cinematic equivalent of a tin of shortbread.